back to my channel. Today I'm doing my 34-week pregnancy update with baby number 3. I am going to start doing these updates weekly from here on out because I just sense that I'm not going to make it to my due date this time. We'll have to wait and see. I made it to my due date with my other 2 kids, but I kind of feel like, I've got 4 to 5 weeks max with this little guy left. So I thought I would just document every week from now until delivery, and we'll see how it goes. In terms of symptoms, I have been experiencing like massive pelvic pressure, especially at night when my baby becomes active and he starts driving down. He presses down on my cervix. I get like lightning crotch, and I get just so much pressure on my cervix that I can't even Kegel all the way. It's just really intense. The baby has seemed to stay in the same position he was in more or less since my scan last week, and that's with his little butt like on my left-hand side, his back all along my left, and then his feet kicking me on the right. Although yesterday he did shift around a little bit. I felt his butt move from left to right to left, but I don't think he's switched from head down because I feel he's dropped quite a lot. I have a lot of room now in my lower rib cage, upper belly. I feel like I have a lot of space there. And he just feels so low. I feel his hiccups literally on my pubic bone and sometimes even on my cervix. He's that low. So I really think that he is head down and not transverse anymore. In terms of energy, I feel like I'm slowing down a little bit. I feel more sluggish, unmotivated. I don't feel that like hustle and that nesting sense of urgency that I've been feeling in previous weeks. I feel very much more like, I don't know. I'm fatigued. I'm lethargic. I just feel like I'm slowing down a little bit. And I don't know if that's just a thing I'm experiencing this week and then I'll rebound, or if this is that kind of like the beginning of the slow descent to due date where your body just starts getting more tired. We're just going to have to wait and see. I am still experiencing some belly button sensitivity, although with the change of my son's position in the womb, I haven't felt so much like really uncomfortable pressure on my belly button, and I think it's because his butt has sort of settled off to the side, and he's not transverse and like applying like weird stretching lateral pressure anymore. But I have been using KT tape. It helps enormously. My only issue is, I'm using a latex-free tape, but I've learned that I can only have it on for like 2 or 3 days maximum, and then I need a 2 or 3 day break before I reapply it. Otherwise, my skin gets very itchy and very irritated. I have not had any tape on my belly for a couple days now, and I'll show you. You can still see, I hope you can see actually, I don't know where the viewfinder is, but you can still see the pattern of the tape all along my belly. And even here, it's still itchy, like I've been scratching here. I've cut myself, like this is all just skin irritation and like adhesive irritation from the tape all across my belly button. So I need to take a break until my skin can like heal and whatever, but it's still very useful. I still plan on using it throughout the end of my pregnancy, but I need to be a little more mindful about how often I apply it and when. Lastly, I have continued to collect colostrum. I find that I start leaking after I take a shower, which I hear is pretty common. And so I've been collecting a little more than 1 milliliter a day, just in these little syringes that I throw into my deep freezer after I collect it. Now, this is not just what I'm leaking. I do hand express a little bit. However, I do it very gently, like 5 minutes per side max after I take a shower. And I have not experienced any Braxton Hicks or contractions or pain or anything when I've done it. And I have read that so long as you don't experience any of that, it's okay to like do a little bit of hand expression, not pumping, not a lot of hand expressing, to just do a few minutes of it this early on. Ideally, like typically they say to wait until you're 36 or 37 weeks pregnant. But again, I just sort of don't sense I'm gonna make it that long. And it feels really good to me to have this little mini freezer stash of colostrum already going into late stages of pregnancy, because my kids, both of my kids that I currently have, got really bad jaundice in those first days postpartum, and it landed us in the hospital like with a lot of trouble with my daughter. And the problem with them getting jaundiced is they get very tired, they become inefficient breastfeeders, and I am someone who struggles with supply. So I need my babies to work with my body as best as they can in those early weeks to hopefully get my supply established. Like I still do plan on pumping, like I have my pump packed with me in my hospital bag. I plan on pumping like from the get-go probably, or at least hand expressing. But if they do get jaundiced, if I'm not like, if it takes my milk the whole 5 to 6 days to come in as it has in the past, at least I have a little bit of something I can offer my babies to keep them going, keep them satiated, and try to get the train back on the tracks. Some interesting things I can speak to, especially in relation to my other pregnancies. I still do not have a linea nigra. I definitely had it by this time with my first. I think I got it around this time with my second. I don't have it yet. I also have absolutely zero heartburn. I have had no heartburn this pregnancy. I had tiny bits of it here and there with my first, and I had it like I was breathing fire for the entirety of my third trimester and even some of my second trimester with my middle child. I think mostly it might just be because this baby's sitting lower. He's just not putting that pressure on my belly or my, my stomach. I have no shortness of breath right now. I have no pain anywhere. I have no swelling or foot pain. I think by this time I was saying that my feet were killing me with my second baby. I don't remember with my first, but pro tip, Crocs, like put your pride aside. And even if it's just being around the house, girls, get some Crocs. Those things are just heaven for your feet. They are amazing. And I do wear them around the house just prophylactically, I guess, even now. But I can say that I don't need them yet. I've also had very minimal Braxton Hicks this past week. Mostly what I feel is just movement pressure and discomfort from my son. I do get Braxton Hicks when I'm sleeping at night, and it's correlated with having a full bladder, like I just need to get up and go pee, or when my baby's active and when he's pushing around, like really pushing, stretching, making these big movements, it really irritates my uterus, and that will set off a Braxton Hick contraction. And it's incredible pressure, and I feel it back, front, pelvic floor, like the whole organ I feel contract. However, it also is a little bit like borderline painful. So it's a little bit more than just a Braxton Hicks, at least compared to what I'm used to a Braxton Hicks being. It's really uncomfortable when it happens, but it doesn't happen often, thankfully. In terms of weight, nutrition, and exercise, I weighed in this morning at 73.7 kilos. That is what I'm looking at my notes right now, 162.5 pounds. It's actually, I lost 0.1 kilos from last week, and it therefore is a total overall gain of 9.7 kilos, which is 21.4 pounds. So I'm on track as far as that is concerned. For workouts, I had been up to this point lifting 5 days a week, Monday through Friday in the morning, and then walking for an hour at a brisk incline on the treadmill Monday through Friday on my lunch breaks. I'm still doing the walking 5 days a week, and mostly I do that like obviously for the health benefits, but mostly it's because by the afternoon I need a pick-me-up. And if I don't walk for an hour, I'm either going to need to go take a nap for an hour or take a bath for an hour just to get warm and rest and relax. So I just find that spending that time walking, I'm getting 10 to 12 hours of sleep at night. I don't need more sleep. It would be better for me to like pep myself up doing something physical, I think, because I work a desk job otherwise. So it helps me get my step count But in terms of lifting, up until now, I've been committed to 5 days a week, but now I'm only committing to 4 days a week, and I'm leaving Fridays open. So I'm allowing myself Friday mornings to do something else. My body is just a little bit running out of energy and running out of steam, and pushing it full throttle 5 days a week is not possible anymore. Like, I don't have as much gas in my tank. So it's better that I'm able to commit to 4 days of like decent push, and then take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off from lifting, because I just don't have it in me anymore to give it my all 5 days a week. Nutrition, sticking to counting macros. I'm still weighing and tracking in MyFitnessPal just out of habit, to be honest. My goal is still 2,400 calories a day. Some days that's way too much for me, and other days it's completely not enough. I have had days where I have not been able to limit myself on the carbs. Like, my go-to carb right now is all brand cereal with a little bit of banana in full fat milk. And when I'm in a mood where I need to have that, like when my body is telling me I need to have that, I cannot moderate. So I have had days where I know I have blown my calorie target out of the park. And then I have days where I don't need it. I'm comfortable. So I allow myself some flexibility right now and eat more intuitively. It's working out well. I feel very in control, and I feel like my body is stable and happy. So that's my 34-week update. And then I thought I would end this video with talking about my birth preferences. I don't want to say my birth plan. I always approach each of my births with the assumption that absolutely anything could happen. And so when I prepare myself, especially with my last birth and with this birth, when I've educated myself, prepared myself, whatever, I have not filtered out the negative stories. I expose myself to all the experiences, because even in the traumatic, negative, my birth was a disaster stories, birth vlogs, podcasts, whatever, there is so much wisdom you can take away from those experiences. You can see how things went wrong, how the mom reacted, what her experience was. Basically, like, if you're able to expose yourself to those stories and they don't scare you into like paralysis, you can put yourself in their shoes and work through the experience alongside them without actually going through it yourself. And it helps you to coach yourself on, how do I want to react in this situation? How do I want my mental state to be? How can I be prepared to handle? What can I expect, so that nothing is a surprise, nothing feels out of control, even though it's probably all out of control. You have a general idea of, okay, this is how it's probably going to go. This is what I can expect. I don't want this to be a negative, traumatic experience. So this is how I want to prepare my brain. Like, basically, I want to educate myself and empower myself. And I also want to pop my own blissful ignorance bubble so that I can ask myself, how would this affect me emotionally, and this and that and whatever, and how can I work through those feelings now so that I'm not just absolutely steamrolled in the moment if this were to happen to me. So that's how I've always approached my births, and I've always assumed that until the moment this baby is out of my body, it could end in a cesarean. It could start with a cesarean. It could end with interventions. It could start with interventions or an induction. I don't know. So I'm going into it extremely open-minded, because I would rather do that and not be heartbroken and let down and disappointed and angry and upset and traumatized than I would be to only picture and manifest my ideal scenario. And then if it doesn't go that way, just feel so let down and dissatisfied with the experience, especially with this being my last baby, Now, my other two births were, I would consider to be dream scenarios. I more or less got everything I wanted out of the experience. With my first, I wanted to just totally go with the flow, and I challenged myself to make it to 7 centimeters before asking for the epidural. And that's what I did, and that is what happened. And What I didn't expect though was that I was only going to get a walking epidural, because that's what they give you here in Sweden. And I didn't expect to actually feel all the pushing. So my epidural only gave me 30 minutes of relief with my first. It was only uterine relief. And then once my baby started transitioning, like once my water broke at 8.5 centimeters, I felt everything. I felt the whole delivery. It was not traumatic. It was actually one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, because when it was over, I realized, oh my God, I really think I can do this. I really believe I can do this naturally. Because I only had those 30 minutes of relief before things, got crazy again. So going into my second birth, my plan was, this is my last birth. I want to have the full Monty experience. Like I want to challenge myself and my brain, my mind. I want to put my education to the test and see if I can go through this experience as nature had intended and just feel what my ancestors went through, feel the power of the human body, and feel all of the hormones and everything that happens, in this birthing process. Because once it's over, I'll be able to reflect on it and it'll be grand, And I also wanted to set up the best possible breastfeeding scenario as I possibly humanly could for myself. So that was another factor. And that's what happened. Now, with my son, I went from 6 centimeters to 10 centimeters in 3 contractions. They broke my water, and then 3 contractions later, I was pushing him. I really wanted to, in that moment, be back in the labor tub to give birth because it provided the most relief to me. I realized in that labor that water is extremely good. It feels great. But my midwife, so in my birth plan, I told them a lot about how I didn't want to be coached to push. I wanted to listen to my body, take my time, go with the flow, because with my daughter, I misunderstood their advice and I launched her out and I tore in 1,000 places. And I didn't want that this time. So when I asked, can I please go back to the tub? My midwife said, you can. However, I'll have to be totally hands-off and I cannot monitor your perineum or anything like that to let you know anything about tearing, because I won't be able to see and I can't do anything to manually manage and whatever. And my fear of tearing was greater than my desire for hydrotherapy. And so I gave birth to him on the bed. And she did not need to do anything and I did not tear in that birth. So with that experience in my pocket now, this is my birth preferences for this birth are that I labor at home as long as possible. I use the TENS machine here. I use my birth ball. I use stretches and different things I've learned along the way to help position baby and to cope with pain here. I want to use the shower, not the bath. I want to use the shower so I can keep gravity working with me. I have labor combs that I plan on using. So, use those and to try to stay here until I get to that point that I recognize, okay, things are getting hot and heavy. And then my husband and I would go to the hospital, and my request is that I do not want an epidural. I don't want them to even offer one unless it might be medically necessary. I do not want my waters broken unless we come to the decision that that is the best thing to do. I don't even want the nitrous gas. Truth be told, I'll probably accept it and take a couple puffs in the beginning, but I actually don't like the nitrous. It makes my contractions blur together. I really don't like it. So I don't even really want access to that, but I do want access to the pool. And then I would like to deliver in the water. So my whole dream scenario that I think the best case scenario is I go into labor naturally, spontaneously on my own, and it starts without prodromal labor, because I got prodromal labor with my last birth, with my last kid, but that it would start around 3 or 4 in the morning, so I got a decent night's sleep, but everyone, the kids, everyone is still awake. Ideally, it would be a weekday, because then I can quietly labor in those early mornings, listen to my music. I co-sleep with my 3-year-old, so I can like snuggle up with him and get oxytocin going. And then my husband will take the kids to preschool. We will have ample time to notify our in-laws that this is happening and that they should plan on coming up in the afternoon to pick up the kids and be here with them, because we will probably be gone. I can labor at home. I can do my stretches. I can bounce on the ball. I can use my clary sage. I can make as much noise as I need to without waking up anyone or having like my kids, frantically bustling around me. Eat, drink as needed, and likely help my husband power clean the house as a way to like get things going also. And then in the early afternoon, we could head to the hospital. Ideally, I would arrive at like 7 centimeters so that all they need to do is just do a trace to monitor baby and everything will be good. And then I can get into the birthing tub and just stay there until it's time to deliver. So that's like the general loose vision I'm trying to manifest. I hate that word, but you know what I mean. Like that's sort of like what I would like to have happen. But again, it's really just going to be go with the flow and try to stay calm and to do it without any kind of pain relief, like medical pain relief, medicinal pain relief. My only concern, and if you have had a water birth before, let me know how this went for you down below. My only concerns with birthing in the water are, number one, pooping in the water, which I know they just scoop it out, but still like blah, but mainly it's, I don't know how they handle the placenta situation when you're in the water. I don't know if they force you once the baby's out, like you all automatically got to get up, get out, go to the bed and deliver the placenta in the bed, or if it happens in the water. I don't want to have to be moving location directly after giving birth. I would, that's the benefit to giving birth in bed with my other two, was I was able to just stay there for hours and hours and hours, cuddling my baby. And then the nurses just did what they needed to do around me. They stitched me up, they handled the cord, they delivered the placenta and everything. And I didn't have to do anything, okay? And I wasn't wet and cold. My concern is like having to get out so soon after birthing, and like the cord is still hanging out of my hoo-ha, and I'm cold and shivering, and the baby is slippery, and I'm already having panicky thoughts of like dropping the baby. But then how odd would it be to have a nurse hold it while it's like attached to me still? It's just weird. So I don't know how that goes. And I know I'm just gonna have to talk to my midwife here to see what the protocol is at the hospital. But let me know if you've done it, how that went for you. Those are like my only two concerns about birthing. And also, I have a little bit of lack of confidence about the fact that my midwife can't like manually manage my tearing situation. I'm really gonna have to trust my body and my instinct to push properly so that I don't tear. I mean, that is a concern of mine, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think birthing on a bed is going to make it any better. I think just whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So that is my birth wish list / preferences / ideal scenario, but we're keeping it an open book. We're just going to take it one day at a time. I don't know how this is going to all go down until it has already gone down. So just trying to go with the flow and not be too type A about it. But that's that. So next week, I have my 35-week midwife appointment. And then the week after that, we're gonna start with the dates and the red raspberry leaf tea and like probably expressing colostrum 2 times a day instead of just 1. And then at 37 weeks, I have another midwife appointment. And then by 38 weeks, I feel like it's gonna be baby watch time. I have these dates that stick in my head of April 21st, 22nd, and 28th. And those would correspond to 38 plus 1, 38 plus 2, and 39 plus 1. And I just feel like my baby is going to come on one of those dates. So another question at the very end, if you've stuck in this long, for those of you who have had just a gut sense about a specific date that the baby might come on, did it actually happen for you, or did you go sooner, or did you just blow past it? Let me know. what you guys think, because you all have been right on everything with this pregnancy. You were right on the gender. I was wrong. You were right on Instagram when I said if people thought baby would be measuring large or more or less on track. When I went to my growth scan last week, you guys said more or less on track. And I was like, I mean, he's measuring 70th percentile, but that's not like a giant baby. It's pretty much normal. It's the same as my other son. So let me know what you guys think, because I'm very, very interested to know, because you all have a lot better gut sense than I seem to. So anyway, stick around, and next week we will talk about my 35-week midwife appointment. Okay, bye.